is Amy Bigman. I'm the Rabbi of Congregation Shaarey Zedek in East Lansing. I don't know if this is my first memory, but one of my strongest memories is singing in the choir on Shabbat mornings when I was, I think, in junior high school at Temple Bethel in what was called then Birmingham, but is now referenced as Bloomfield Hills. That was a really important part of how I connected to my Judaism, was through the music. And so I have very strong memories of being with our choir directors and my classmates. Well, I thought about becoming a rabbi when I was in high school, then decided I was going to do something more practical with my life. And while I was in college, I went to the University of Michigan, and I was being asked to declare a major. And as I started to think about the different things that I wanted to do in my life, it became clear that becoming a rabbi was something that that I wanted to do. I was always very involved in my synagogue, and I worked there for my rabbis for my senior year of high school and a little bit in college, and was involved in youth group and all those things. And I realized that all of the things that I was interested in added up to becoming a rabbi. I think a lot of rabbis probably give similar answers. It's an honor to be part of people's joyous times, and of course, their more difficult times. And I find that when I'm teaching, especially adults, especially people who are new to Judaism, and seeing them be excited about Judaism and hear their questions, I just love being part of that part of a person's life cycle experience, and welcoming them as new Jews to the congregation and to the Jewish world is always something that's very special, very special. Well, my favorite Shabbat tradition at the synagogue, which has been difficult during COVID times, but is getting better now, is that we conclude our Friday evening services singing the threefold blessing. And we sing the Hebrew line, and then I translate it into English and so on. And we sing it as a group, and we invite people to put their arms around each other. And so in the past, we would invite everyone that was sitting in that row to be together. Now I have to introduce it with, something about if you're comfortable in putting your arms around people. So it's mostly families that are doing that, but it's just a wonderful way to end our Friday evening service. I don't know that I have a favorite prayer. For me, just hearing the beautiful versions of different prayers and what the different music brings to the different prayers is really quite special for me. But I don't think I have actually a favorite prayer per se. Well, I think it's hard to say, because the High Holy Days, of course, are filled with so much preparation and work. But I think Rosh Hashanah is still my favorite holiday. That whole idea of having spent a month looking back at where I went wrong and trying to make amends, and then starting fresh, and the freshness of that new year is still very special. I would say charoset is my favorite food. In more recent years, I've been introduced not just to the Ashkenazic charoset that I grew up with, but also to Sephardic charoset, which I love and could eat year round. It's just so wonderful. So usually after our sisterhood provides a Seder for our community, I do my best to take only my share of the charos at home with me. But it's delicious and I could eat it all the time. I think being Jewish means to be part of a larger community, a larger family. I talk a lot about being part of a congregational family, but obviously also being part of a worldwide family. And that when another Jew hurts, we hurt. And when another Jew celebrates, we celebrate. And to be active in our communities, Judaism teaches us that it's not just about us, it's about others in our communities, it's about others in the world. And to go out and to do the work of tzedakah and tikkun olam is really, to me, so important in our Jewish tradition. Yes, I think it's really important to talk to as many rabbis as you can. There are rabbis who are in congregations, there are rabbis who are out doing work in the community outside of congregations. There's so many things that you can do as a rabbi, but especially if you're looking to congregational life, which is what most people think of when they think of rabbis. There's a whole range of experiences, and I was blessed and honored to have rabbis that I could talk to as I was making my decision about rabbinic school, and I worked in the office with the rabbis, after school during my last year of high school and so on. But I wish I had talked to more rabbis and seen more of the experiences, not only the wonderful parts about being a rabbi, which are many, but also the struggles. The rabbinate can be a very lonely profession in many ways. And I would share that if someone was asking me about becoming a rabbi, I would share that with them. And so I think the best thing is to talk to as many rabbis as you possibly can. Well, I don't know if some people will be surprised to know this, but others of your readers and viewers will remember that when I was ordained 30 years ago, they would have read an article in the Jewish News about my being the first full-time congregational rabbi in the state of Michigan who is a woman. And in fact, there was a lot made of that early in my career, though to me, I was just Amy, who happens to also be a rabbi. But there was a lot of that. So some people in Detroit would remember that. But most people here and in other communities that I've served would be surprised, I think, to know that. Well, I'm really glad that the Jewish News is highlighting communities that are outside of the Metro Detroit area, because it's important to know. I was not as familiar with it when I lived in Metro Detroit. It's important to know that there are Jews in other parts of the state that don't have as many wonderful opportunities as those in the Detroit area do in many ways, but we have wonderful congregations and communities and local Jewish federations that work very hard to make Jewish life special and important in our communities. And of course, if anyone is visiting Michigan State University, they are welcome to come and join us for a variety of programs. Or if you're coming to visit the state capitol, to stop by and say hello. We are located so close to both, and that brings us a lot of people into our congregation and community from all over the country, and it's really wonderful. So we welcome anyone and everyone who's interested in learning more about Judaism and or learning more about our congregation.